These pictures were taken with the camera that was released in the early 2000s, the Canon EOS 20D. I got it from a guy who bought it when it was first released, and he never used it. So he just gathered dust and was in a box. It was basically brand new. And upon release in 2000, it was announced in 2004, it was $1,500. I don't think that includes tax. It was an APS-C camera, or is an APS-C camera, 8.2 megapixel. Compare that to today's, I guess, industry standard of 24 at least, now 50 plus megapixel, even more. So you could tell that this is aged a little bit. It wasn't mirrorless. It was a single lens reflex. It had a mirror. And it came with two kit lenses. And you could use two different mounting systems with it, which is pretty cool at the time. You don't have to buy it new, obviously. I don't think anybody's going to buy it new right now. Maybe. I mean, I got it pretty new, but I think I paid $400 for the camera, the two lenses, and the printer, which he also bought and he never used. So I don't think that was a good deal, but I kind of like to collect some of these old stuff if it's not too expensive. You can get them used now for, what's this? Looks like it's $35 here for just the body. You just have to do your due diligence to see if you can get a good deal on it. You can get all kinds of parts for them too, like the grip and so on and so forth. All right, so let's look at some pictures I took, and it's amazing to see how this camera has held up over time. So this first one was taken late evening, it looks like. I forgot, does it say the time? Let me see. This was taken, yeah, so 3:19 p.m. and it's late fall in New England, so close to sunset, as you can probably tell. At ISO 100, the max ISO on this is 1600, I think. And now it took it with a kit lens at 1/1000th of a second to cut down some of the light. Now, looking back, I could have done better though. But I didn't want to blow out the sun in the back here, so I opted to use that. I didn't have a filter either. I think it has a 67mm filter thread, so I could have used a step-up ring with an ND filter, but then the ISO would have suffered. In any case, let's see what we can make of this one. And it's not terrible. Not terrible at all. If we say drop the shot, I kind of like it as is. The glare from the sun could be a stylistic preference. I don't know if I like it right now. It looks a little distracting. If I could have done this, and also there's someone in the shot here on the side. I don't know who this person is. I think I caught them by accident. I could have stepped a little bit closer and probably used a lens hood, which I don't have a lens hood for this, but I could have used a lens hood to cut down on the glare. All right, moving on, we have this person walking on the golf course. I was trying to get them right in line with these, but it didn't work out. But I still think it's a good shot. Goodness mercy, look at the difference already with just using auto. This is before, that's after. That's insane. That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. I wouldn't even know if I'd do anything else with it. Incidentally, perhaps I could have stepped back farther so he seems smaller or closer to the size of this. I don't know how I would do that. The illusion I wanted to go for is he was in line with this and no one could tell the difference, or the size difference wouldn't be as clear as it appears in this picture. I still think it's a cool shot though. So let's increase the contrast a little bit. I don't think it needs to be any greener. And we can drop some of the shadows. Let me use this, see what the white point is. Okay, that's not too bad. And then raise the exposure. Goodness mercy. And then I don't think we need to make this any greener, you know, because that looks pretty much as how it seemed on the day. I also started using this slider here, dehaze. That's what it looks like when you add haze, and that's when you dehaze it. So I think I don't like to do anything to the max anyways. And with that, I think we can raise the exposure a little bit. I think so. I like that. And then let's see what the before and after looks like. Before, after. That's pretty cool. Let's see what this one is. So this one actually, this is how, actually I don't think it looked like this. I don't know why. To my eyes it didn't look like this. Now the difference with this camera and today's modern cameras, you're just looking through a mirror. So it's not a digital representation as much as it is in the mirrorless cameras or even modern cameras. So sometimes what you see is not what the image looks like, and the little LCD screen doesn't help at all in reviewing your images. In any case, if you take it in RAW, then you should get some pictures that you can work with. So let's see what we can do with this one. First, I'll use auto. Let's see what that looks like before, after. Okay. Then I could raise the exposure. Then increase the contrast a little bit. I think that could do with some saturation too, you know. So maybe not all the colors. Let me try just the brown color if it would allow me. Let's try this. Okay. Okay. And then let's try the green if it would allow me. Let's see. Let's use that. Okay. And then let's dehaze it. Let's see what that does. That's pretty cool. So I guess you could add some clarity also. It's a little bit. And then with that we can raise the exposure just a tiny bit and drop the shadows. All right, I couldn't make up my mind where to focus. In hindsight, I think I would have been better off focusing on this rock. And maybe I didn't need to include all of this information over here on the left and the right. So I could have cropped it, not cropped, step in a little bit to make it look something like this. I don't know if that looks any better, but let's see, before, after. Looks like I could do even better with that. So let's drop the shadows even more. And then drop the exposure. And let's dehaze it even more. Let's see. Okay. All right, so to that we can raise the exposure. Let's see what that does. Yeah, it's not gonna be great because right now the background that's supposed to be blurred out does not look nice. What was the exposure? The shutter speed 1/100 of a second. That should be good enough, I think, but all right. Then I tried to get this squirrel. It was watching me, I was watching it. And I think I got it reasonably well. I was stooped down, kind of, because these buggers are so fast. By the time I get in position, they're gonna move away unless it's in a park somewhere where they are used to humans and you're feeding them that kind of stuff. But I still think that looks nice. But let's see if we can improve it a little bit. Okay. And perhaps we could drop the exposure a little bit. Or just the whites. Let's hit the white point to see what that does. I'm just holding shift and then left click auto whites. Okay. So I guess that's the best it could do. I like that actually. And it's not too busy. Maybe this branch, but I'm not gonna break a branch just to make a picture, and it wouldn't work anyways. But I don't think it's too busy. It's clear that this is the subject. Let's try to, let's see if we could adjust the focus a little bit. So with this setting, I could shift where the picture is focused. No, it's come to the forefront, it looks like. And then that's in the backgrounds. Okay, so this is right. I want to get the eye. If I hit this visualize path, then it shows me where the focal plane is. And if I narrow it, it should give me a better result. Should, I think. Yeah. All right, so let's take that off. I don't know if it's any good. Actually, it is a little bit better. But without the eyes. Wow. Okay. Actually, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. All right, let's do some saturation and some contrast. Raise the exposure a little bit. And let's see what that looks like. Before, after. Before, after. We can do more still. Let's see if we could drop these shadows. And let's select the subject to see what we can get. Did it work? It kinda did. Kinda did. Kind of. Let's see if we could paint in more. So it will know that the tail is a part of it. And then the face. Okay. And then I think that should be better. All right, so now if I raise the exposure, that looks like garbage. That looks like garbage. Let's see what it looks like before and after. Yeah, that looks like garbage. All right, this one I liked because this tree was broken and it had obviously fallen in the forest or park, but then it kept growing. Unfortunately, I didn't have a lens that was wide enough to get the broken bit as well as the part that was regrowing. But that was the intent, to show death and then rebirth, or the damage and then it was still growing, something like that. I'm not trying to be too artistic here, but I just liked how that looked. I think I was watching a video the other day and it made sense to me. Sometimes you're walking by with a camera and you think, oh, that's worth taking a picture of. And it is. That doesn't mean it's going to turn out great. It might look cool in your eyes, but then if you don't compose it right, it doesn't reflect in the picture. And this is one such example, unfortunately, in my opinion. In any case, I still like it. What would I have done different? Perhaps if I had a wider lens, or just focus on this bit here. Just get just a part of the branch going down. Maybe, I don't know. All right, this other one I liked because of the moss growing at the root of the tree. And I always like how the green pops in the fall, especially when everything around it is dried up and looks like it's a dead forest or something. But then the mosses is just highlighting the root of the tree. Like, we're still here, we're still alive. That might be nonsense, we don't know. All right, so let's see what we can do with this. Raise the exposure a little bit. And then we can raise the contrast. Actually wouldn't do much with that, I kind of like that. The problem with this 8 megapixel camera is if you try to zoom in or crop, it's gonna look like garbage. I know I nailed focus with this. I mean, as much as you can with a camera that's 8 megapixels and was released, I don't know, 19 years ago. Or announced 19 years ago. But just don't zoom in, don't crop. All right, this other one is a similar thing. I wish there was something here, say an animal or something to focus on. That would have been cool. something was right here. Unfortunately, it was not. But this is the path right here, right next to the tree, and I actually turned back and I zoomed in with the kit lens, the 75 to 300, and I zoomed in at 170 here to get this. As you zoom in, then your maximum aperture is going to be less, or you have to stop down the aperture, or it stops down for you actually, because it's not a constant aperture lens, it's a kit lens. And again, if you zoom in, it doesn't look so great. But just imagine, just a few years ago, well, not a few years, a decade ago, this would be a great picture in some people's eyes. I mean, perhaps the average consumer. Actually, let me take that back. This wouldn't be looked at the same way as we do now, as professionals would and myself would look at this. But it just tells how far we've come. I'm going to do a separate video about the unboxing of the camera, and also what I've learned from using this, because I have learned a whole heap from going back. It's like stepping back to horse and carriage days. Maybe not that extreme, but stepping back quite a bit with this camera. Last one right now at least is this one. And I like this one because I'm trying to now play around with something in the foreground, something in the middle of the image, or the mid-ground as they would call it, I guess, and then something in the background. And so not just have things in the clear, right? So just clear things out. Like I tried to do here with this one. You had something in the foreground, something in the mid-ground, something in the background. And I kind of like this. Now, the unfortunate thing is it's not clear what is interesting about this. It looked interesting on the day, but what could I have done to make it more interesting? Perhaps if I did not have this tree in the middle, but this tree on the left here. But this tree kind of gives it scale, I think. By itself, it might take some, it shouldn't take anybody long to realize that this is the base of a tree, right? And the size of these leaves also should give it away. I don't know. I think there's too much in the foreground to kind of make it messy. It's not like it's an animal and you're getting a sneak peek of the animal here. It's just the base of a tree. So I could have stepped a little bit to the right, perhaps, and then would have gotten it. I think so. All right, let me just do one more. I like this picture because of the various lines going on in here. There's this line going across. This is the edge of the dam, right? Then there was this other line going this way. I just realized this afterwards. There's this tree, looks like it's growing to the left of the image, and there's a reflection of it. And then there's also this line. I just took one look at this and thought, man, I should capture this. I still don't know why though. I don't know why I think it's interesting, but I'm such a dingbat. But I just thought it looked cool at the day. Maybe a few years from now, I'll think, man, this is a great picture. Pulitzer Prize winning. Or the true feeling would be, this is garbage. In any case, at this current point of my what do you call it? My knowledge, I think this is a cool picture. So let's see what we can do with it. We can do, you know what I wish I had done? I wish I had used a long exposure with this. But with that, I would need an ND filter, because a long exposure, so maybe half a second, would mean it would have been blown out. And I would need a tripod, right? Because then that would just make the water a little bit more silky smooth. Right now, at 1/80th of a second, I don't know if it looks as nice as I intended. But let's drop the exposure a little bit. I prefer it darker, actually. I think I prefer this darker. Looking back now, I think maybe less of the forefront would have been cool. Let me try that. Let me stop it right there. Yeah, I don't know. I think I prefer, let me see what this looks like before, after. Well, obviously the brighter image is gonna look a little bit better. I didn't want to crop this off because I still think this little tree branch here is interesting. It would seem that anybody who's looking at this, their eyes would first be drawn to this thing here. It looks like a part of a some kind of fishing line or something. I just think it's a cool picture with everything reflecting out of the cold water. All right, take it easy.